Hello and welcome to this LSFC Animate on the essay part 2. Earlier this year I made a video about writing an essay. Key points being answering the question at the outset, what an intro is, what's a conclusion, and how to think critically about the question. In it I also talked about paragraphs and that classic structure every school pupil in the UK has heard again and again. PEE. My conclusion in that video was to follow the structure, but having thought about the video since, I don't think that's good enough. I need to say more because students' essays don't reflect what you're expected to do at A-level and beyond. So let's address that. The first thing I want to talk about is that indispensable but invisible part of the essay, the plan. Students don't do this, or not without great reluctance. I've just marked a load of papers, exam papers, and I know some students haven't done so. I know because their essays don't make sense. How do I make it clear how essential the plan is? Well, what's the most successful car ever? The Model T Ford? The Beetle? The Toyota Corolla? Well, how did any of these cars come into being? Planning. Designers sat down and pored over blueprints. Engineers did the same. Prototypes were put together, and Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford used their production knowledge to hone the final product. It took ages and cost loads. Plans were everywhere at every level. An essay is not as difficult, but you are still doing something hard. Simply put, the examining body has failed if you can answer an essay question without thinking of the structure beforehand, also known as a plan. Why is that? Well, GCSEs are pretty simple. Can you write a sentence and master basic literacy, basic punctuation? If you can, you pass. At A-level, you have to do a lot more, and a key focus is the essay, which is asking you to put together a complicated answer, assess arguments, and prove or disprove them. A GCSE then is perhaps the skill of learning to drive a car. An A-level is a step up to a plane, if you want. Can you get away with simply using the same old from GCSE? Well, you might pass, but if you think about doing things in a different way and start planning, you'll do much, much better. What do you see here? What colour is this dress? Is it blue or white? Is it gold or black? Okay, what about this? What do you see here? An old woman or a young girl? There's no right answer. In fact, what you see first is subjective. It's down to the individual. Some individuals see one thing, some individuals see another. The second point is that essays are supposed to be objective. They are written by you, but it is inappropriate to write "I think" in the essay. That is, give a subjective response. We pretend that the essay writer can rise above the self and give an impersonal and so true, inverted commas, answer. We are drawing a veil over the individual. And that, interestingly enough, is exactly like news. BBC News reporters beam back accounts of wars somewhere else in the world. Take Syria. The idea of the story, though, is it's objective. It's true. We're not supposed to be interested in the reporter, but the report. But ask yourself this. Why is it that a BBC report might differ significantly about the Syrian war to, say, an Al Jazeera one or a Russia Today one? Well, it's exactly the same as a class load of essays. Everyone's answering the same question, but the answers should be different. They should also be impersonal. You don't use the first person. The third thing that I want to talk to you about is sometimes called hedging. Hedging is there because essays are debates on a topic. They're a discussion. You're answering a question, but they're not scientific. You're not giving a proof, you're not giving a definitive answer, and your language should reflect this. Students want to write, X proves that this is correct. Well, please don't. Your language should be discursive. Should be, this suggests, or it could mean, or one possible reason is. And please leave, I know this because at GCSE where it belongs. I have mentioned PEE, but I want to say a bit more, and that's about PEE and responsibility. Essays are a serious business. Indeed, depending on how you do depends on which university you go to. Clearly, it's important to get your points right because they're the bones of your structure, what you hang everything else on. So responsibility here is your duty to prove your point, and this is about evidence. A news editor once said, opinion, or a point, is for free, but facts are sacred. You have to use them to prove the points you're making. They're indispensable, and if you don't use evidence, as students do sometimes, you'll fail. Yes, it's true that most marks are available for explanation, the other E in the acronym PEE, but it's the evidence that you're explaining. No evidence means no explanation at all. And so to my last point, and this is about the tense you're writing in. I often see students switch between tenses. They start talking about Othello in the past and move to the present and perhaps back again. Please don't. Othello should be discussed in the present, as should all your essays. Only if you're referring to an experiment you created should you refer to the past. That's it. Good luck.
Oh, well, them bones, them. I drive bones with them, them. I drive bones with them, them. I drive bones, now hear the word of the Lord. And them bones, them. I drive bones with them, them. I drive bones with them.